The Thursday, August 11th, 2022 budget workshop meeting of the Paris City Council is hereby called to order at 5:30 p.m. For the purpose of this meeting, there is a quorum of the council present. Item number 2 is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. Unless an item is posted on the agenda, the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city council members or employees, as well as individual personal appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. If necessary, the city council may convene into executive session under Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code regarding any item on this agenda. The public forum is now open. If there's anyone who wishes to address the council, please come forward. Seeing none, the public forum is now closed. Councilmember Pankaj will be joining us by Zoom. Item number 3, discuss and provide direction on fiscal year 2022-2023 budget for the City of Paris. Mr. Path.
Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council, welcome and thank you for coming tonight and having the special budget meeting. I got to change those real quick.
Am I supposed to sit there?
There we go.
Welcome.
That way when the camera looks at you, they'll have your name in front of you. So, I know. All right, very good. Well, tonight is our annual budget workshop. As you'll recall, I presented the budget to the City Council via email back on July 28th. You've had the memorandum there. In paper form, this is what it looks like. And so you have a memorandum. You have attachment A being the revenue, attachment B being expenditure, attachment C being the payroll estimates for positions, and attachment D being the amortization schedule for our debt service there. So you have those either hard copy or electronically. And in front of you tonight, you have a copy of the slides that we'll be going through across the screen here. That way, in case you want to hover on a slide longer than I keep on there, you can go back, refer back, and so forth there. So this is your time tonight. I'll be walking through the different departments budgets here, but please ask any and all questions you have if you have any. And so. Is there anything council wants to change or edit? We can do that. We can discuss that tonight. And if there's any more information you have, I will try to answer that. If I can't answer it, I've asked all the departments to be present tonight to be able to help try to give you the information tonight if possible. One of my goals is to be able to provide information on the spot in these budget meetings and not have to make you wait till the next meeting. So very good. So tonight I'm going to do a quick recap of Monday's discussion. Then we will go into the individual departments. I'm going to do this high-level summaries. We're not going to dig deep into the line items so much. But we're going to kind of do high-level items, more significant, noteworthy items. And then at the end of that, Gene will discuss the possible timeline. Under State Bill 2, Senate Bill 2, we do have to have certain dates we have to comply with for public hearings and so forth. So Gene will conclude that tonight with kind of laying out the timeline for you with that. So. With that, I will get started here. I'm just getting some recap from Monday night, the financial policy. The mission of the City of Paris is to serve with professionalism and integrity, promote a safe and prosperous community for all citizens, and provide efficient and effective services for an excellent quality of life. Budget priorities that we discussed on Monday night, of course, the top priority being the City Council's priorities. We went through those on Monday night. The retirement program and TMRS and TEFLA, the fire pension changes there, were a significant item in our budget this year. We worked around. Employee pay being 2% COLAs for all positions except for mine. Rising costs, fuel, so forth. Capital projects and purchases, new positions, 2 in police. Maintaining operational services, and of course trying to comply with SB 2. That's always one of our priorities every year. We don't want to get in trouble with the state. Quickly, the balance of operational funds. I won't go through every item here. We discussed it on Monday night. But again, our primary operational funds are 1, 3, 10, and 45. 1 being the general fund, 3 being the new airport fund that was started this current fiscal year. 10 being water and sewer fund, and 45 being sanitation fund, our trash service. Again, revenue for general fund, this is our largest operational fund. This is where primarily our operations reside in. Revenue being $27.2 million, expenditure being $27.6 million. The difference there being $343,000. We will be pulling some of that from reserve to do that. The reserve $343 is tied directly to capital purchases. It is never a good idea to use reserve for repetitive purchases like insurance, fuel, payroll, those things. You don't want to use reserve for that because reserve is typically a one-time thing. So, but these are all tied to capital purchases. Airport, $1.1 million revenue, $1.2 expense. This is primarily, we have the large TxDOT project, once again planned for this year. I keep giving that to you every year, hoping that TxDOT will do it. Fingers crossed, this will be the year they get it done. And so we keep budgeting for that every year. And also, too, so we've got CARES and ARPA funds that are being used to help balance that for our match of that project, 2 projects there. Water and sewer fund balanced $18.3 million. Sanitation fund balanced $1.2 million. And again, we are maintaining our 4-month reserve in the general fund by all this. Property tax rate, as we discussed on Monday night, the M&O, the maintenance and operation property tax is decreasing, while the debt service tax rate is increasing on account of the pension bond changes there. As you see a table there that shows the last couple of years with this year, we were at 48 cents total in 2021, 45 cents in 21-22. And 22-23 is proposed to be 44 cents, so a drop of a penny from this current fiscal year. Operational side, we are dropping 3 pennies on operations side. Again, we're trying to maintain a flat property tax levy of $8,030,000. We're trying to keep that flat this year. Again, that's being made possible through increase in sales tax, as well as the savings we are reaping through the TMRS rate decrease, as well as the fire pension rate decrease there. And I think I need to admit here. There we go. And so the debt service line is going up by about 2 cents. Again, that's tied to the pension bond. Property valuations versus property tax rate. The last several years, the property valuations, which is completed by the appraisal district, we do not set the values of properties as done through the appraisal district. It has been going up each year. Some of it's been state mandated, and of course some of it is just market driven. 22-23 on the far right side there, we are the valuation is going up 9% across the city. I mean, this is not every property is 9%. This is just a cumulative of all valuations that are being changed next year, but a total of 9% off of this current fiscal year. Last year being a big increase, 19% from the prior year. But as you can see there on the bottom of that table there, each year we've been decreasing our property tax rate as values go up. So we had a 0% increase in 18-19. We went down 6% in 1920, down 7% in 2021, down 6% in 21-22, and down 2% in 22-23 proposed. Again, that's because of the pension bond. All right, general fund revenue. This is just a summation of the general fund in total for revenue. 21-22, we are showing an increase of $1.6 million in total revenue for the general fund. This is, again, the 01 account. Primary reasons for that is sales tax. Sales tax continues to increase in our community, which is outstanding. It means our economy is doing well in our community. We are showing an increase of $640,000 in that, and that's still being conservative. Sales tax can be volatile. We can't levy that. This is what we collect. And so Gene Anderson and I work hard to try to find a conservative figure for sales tax. We do see the sales tax exceeding that value, but again, you don't want to budget for that and it not happen because we try to balance our budget. So we show a $640,000 increase in sales tax. The hot tax, increase of $150,000. There's an asterisk there because, again, that's not money that we can spend. That's money that goes to the Chamber of Commerce. But again, that impacts the overall increase of $1.6 million is hot tax, $150,000 there. EMS revenue through our rate increase as well as a third-party work is a $435,000 projected increase. Again, we think we are being very conservative on that, given the recent months and the projections we're seeing off recent months. Now that third party is kicking into high gear and new rates are kicking in, I do think that 435 will be rather conservative. And so I think that we're going to see some good revenue return on our EMS revenue going into next year. So, but again, you don't want to put all your eggs in a basket and then it doesn't work out. So, sanitation fees in the general fund is the decrease of $100,000. Again, an asterisk there. In order to avoid a rate increase in sanitation, we've not done one in 12 years. Whenever I increase the employee pay in the sanitation department in order to try to be competitive with local competition, to try to retain and keep employees and attract employees, in order to avoid a rate increase, we had to pull some of the money that was going to the general fund back into the sanitation department. The money going into the general fund is typically, you use that for your street repairs. These are big trucks using the streets every day. It makes sense that part of the sanitation bill should help cover some street repairs. But again, in order to avoid a rate increase, I had to pull some money out of the sanitation fund to go into the sanitation department. Property tax, again, remaining flat at $8,030,000. Again, these are the significant increases. There's a ton of little increases here and there, decreases, increases. Some things going up, some things going down. But I pulled the primary big ones there. Again, the rest are all in Exhibit A of your packets there. And again, utilizing $343,000 in the reserve. That does not hurt our reserve. Our reserve has been very healthy. But again, those are all tied to capital expenses. Expenditures. About a 1.6, again, increase from last year. The primary reasons we see in that are rising costs. Fuel is going up. Police cars are cost more. Ambulances cost more. Those kind of things. Everything costs more, unfortunately, right now. The pay study, as we proposed on Monday night, we did the pay study last year. We did a phase one for police and fire, which was 75% of their increases in this current fiscal year. We had planned on a 12.5% in 22-23 and a 12.5% in 23-24, but thankfully, because of the sales tax, the pension changes, the TMRS changes, I'm proposing that we get all 2 and 3 done this upcoming year. There's not much of a financial difference if we were to do 12.5%. Given what it would have cost next year with 2% COLAs, there's not much of a savings to split it up right now. So this actually is very much in reach to get it all done this upcoming fiscal year. We're all caught up, and we're where we should be. It's also that $1.6 million is also on account of a 2% COLA for the employees. We've added an animal control officer in the budget, a community outreach officer in the proposed budget. Again, this is offset by savings in the TMRS and the fire pension changes that we discussed on Monday night. And again, we used some of the reserves for 343. And the things that tied to that, we have the Farmers Market Restroom Improvement Project. We'll discuss that in a little while. The North Lamar ISD interlocal agreement for their collector street. That's part of the reserve. That's part of that 343. A housing study, small and medium-sized tractors for Parks Department, and a library and some repairs in the library foyer. Those things add up to $343,000. That way, all of the reserve we're using is accounted for through capital expenses and not reoccurring expenses. My bottom paragraph there, you're going to see in the next few slides here, we're going to be going through department by department by department, and I'm going to be sharing with you increases, decreases in the department budgets there. Whenever we go through a budget cycle every year, what I do every year, and I ask all the department heads first, and then I do this myself. We go line by line by line by line. We look at multiple years of history. We're looking at trends. How is a line item trending over time? And so if we've been budgeting $10,000 every year, but we've been spending $6,000 a year, it's time to bring it down to $7,000. But on the flip side, if we've been budgeting $7,000, but we spend $10,000, it's time to now look at $10,000 for the budget there. So, but all those lines net out to adjustments in the budgets there. So you'll see things like we are up $5,000 the overall budget. We're down $6,000 in the proposed budget. A lot of that is tied to just your typical one line goes up, one line goes down, and it all nets out to a different number there. So you're going to see that phrase, typical adjustments in payroll and operational expenses throughout many of these slides here. Again, that's just to signify that the difference is in part played by just your typical line by line changes in the accounts there. Otherwise, I will then point out more noteworthy changes that cause differences. And I won't go line by line, but again, pull out the more significant items there. All right, City Council Department number 11. This is your budget. It's I want you to be shocked by this, but it's an increase of $41,000, 29.7% there. But that is tied to the housing assessment study for $20,000. We have that. That's the most appropriate place to budget that is the City Council Department there. We also have typical rising costs in communications, public notices, trying to pay the Paris News for our notices, building maintenance, some things that you don't control. There are costs tied to this building to maintain this room, the roof, everything. So we do show some costs through the City Council Department budget there. So we do have an increase in that. And as well, the last couple of years, this year and last year, we just had some random consultants. We had a retreat this year that wasn't budgeted for. So I presume we're going to have another retreat next year. And so I want to put some money in there to help account for that. So all those things, plus your typical ups and downs, accounted for the $41,000 difference there. And again, at any point, stop me, ask questions. Otherwise, I'm going to try to keep moving quickly. But yes, Mayor.
That also includes utilities in this room, right?
There's a utility line in most every department. We try to split up the utility bill because we don't have a meter for this, meter for that, meter for that. But we try to split it up between the rooms that way. So. The City Manager Department, Department number 12, an increase of $13,000 or 2.3%. Again, your typical adjustments in payroll and operational expenses. Again, the COLA plays into that. When you apply a COLA, that increase that impacts the TMRS line, it impacts the Social Security line, impacts the Medicare line. So there's a trickle down effect through that. That plays into that change there. But we also have a decrease. This current fiscal year, we budgeted for a personnel manual consultant. We have paid much of that already this year. The task is not done yet. It's just one of my back burners trying to get done, but I don't foresee that being expensed next year, so I've decreased that out of the budget. And you see there a list of your typical expenses in the City Manager Department. Not a lot of change there. City Attorney Department, a whopping $1,900 change, 0.5%. Again, your typical adjustments through payroll and operational expenses, ups and downs that impact that $1,900 difference there. You also have the other expenses, typically in the attorney budget, your prosecutor contract, your delinquent tax attorneys presented in that department, and legal material books and typical office expenses. So these first few slides are a lot of your office departments. So kind of boring, and it's just your standard phones, utilities, payroll, that kind of stuff. So not a lot of exciting things in these first few slides. Municipal Court, $5,000 difference there, 2.3% change. That's through payroll adjustments primarily for the positions we have there. Again, that 2% COLA. And then otherwise, their expenses are just typical office expenses. Not a lot of changes in that department there. City Clerk, $43,000. You may wonder what Janice is doing over there, and a 21% increase there. That is because we have reassigned a current position into her department. We have a front desk individual. Her name's Joni. She does great work, and she was previously under the IT general department there. But we made some changes this year in some different departments. We moved her payroll under the city clerk payroll. That's why you see a massive increase in that one. It's existing budget, just repurposing it to a different department there. Otherwise, much of the department stays the same. Accounting and auditing, increase of $11,000, 2.5%. Again, your typical payroll and operational expense differences are playing into that, ups and downs, and different line items. Looking at the capital request at the bottom there, this could go in many different department slides tonight, whether it's public works or utilities or police or fire. But we are, as I discussed Monday night, as I shared Monday night, the Lamar County, they have approached us with a potential interlocal agreement opportunity. They have purchased the property on North Main Street, the old Shell gas station. They have already demolished much of the property on the backside. They're going to refurbish the existing Shell station and repurpose those fuel cells for selling of fuel. And so they have approached us and asked if we can go in together on that, which we were already planning on doing our own fuel farm at the Public Works office, but why not go in together, save money together, use the same taxpayers, because again, the same taxpayers pay county taxes, city taxes, might as well combine. We can operate it together. According to the county's projections, they see some significant savings per gallon. So I'm hoping some of that will counteract the raised budget on fuel next year. But again, until that becomes a reality, I budget high on fuel just for now. So we budgeted some money in ARPA for that. So that's an exciting thing. I think the Lamar County Commissioners are looking to schedule a meeting with some council members in the next few weeks, I believe. So exciting stuff. It's always great to work with our fellow governments on things. So. Police, this is our largest individual department budget, 7.2. They have the most employees. They have about 80 or 90 employees. Much of this is tied to that, and a lot of things today just cost a lot more. There's an increase of $225,000 in this one, 3.1%. Again, this is primarily because of the payroll pay study, phase 2 and phase 3 going into this upcoming fiscal year. We have a new animal control officer and a new community outreach officer position that's through this in this department. Again, your typical adjustments, ups and downs, but then you have your impact of rising cost in fuel, rising cost in animal control operations. Kibble and bits cost more, and since we have more and more animals, it seems like we need more and more of it. We have some travel and training expenses going up. We've been retaining officers better this last year, and so that brings about more training opportunities. We want to keep our officers up to date on things. I know this last week they've been doing some active shooter training with local schools. Outstanding work going on there, but those things cost money, and so we're trying to do more and more of that.
Grayson?
Yes.
And I know that's a huge budget, but I'd be interested in seeing what type of trainings they do. I've asked the chief about this before.
Yep.
But, I know they do a lot of tactical training, but do we budget any money for I guess you would call it the social type training, the training to be able to handle those type issues? Because of the incidents that's rising across the nation, have we talked about putting money into those type trainings?
Yeah, there's a lengthy. This is the general training line. There's a lengthy list of trainings that they go through, and so is Chief Salter.
I don't think he's here.
I haven't seen him tonight, so but no,
I'll follow up with
I know a lot of those social things are part of the regiment. I can't give you a percentage as how much of it is, but but there is a lot of that part of their TCO renewals that's tied to that. So, but we can get you a list of the trainings.
I'll just set up a meeting with him and talk to him.
Yeah, we'll give that to you. So.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Some of their capital requests under the ARPA funding, we need to do some upgrades on our weather warning sirens for across town. Dispatch console equipment. I want to emphasize. I don't want to underemphasize the importance of dispatch for our community. And so, dispatch, that is the number one lifeline for a person in emergency need. That's what triggers police, fire, EMS. People use it for public works at times. We work with the county at times for this, and so it's very important that we keep that software and equipment up to date. And unfortunately, it costs a lot of money. And we're just very blessed to have the ARPA funds available to do that. And so, but we'll be working on doing some upgrades in the dispatch consoles and equipment. Looking to buy an incinerator and animal control. Our current one is no more. We looked at trying to repair it. It's beyond repair, and so we need to replace the incinerator at the animal control department. Some training room computers. Ballistic vests and patrol units, and that's in the general fund. And so we try to rotate 3 or 4 patrol units every single year to try to stay ahead of the wear and tear those units see. Fire department. This is probably you see an increase of $70,000, but there was a massive change of funding going on in this department here. 1.3% increase. We had, of course, a phase 2, phase 3 increases, but then that was counteracted by significant decreases in our retirement, going from 14% contribution down to 5.1%. That's a significant amount of money there. So that nets out to a $70,000 difference there. But you also see the rising cost of fuel and so forth impacting that department. Their capital request is a new drone. The fire department is one that houses our drone for the city. This is more of a high-tech, bigger valued, more powerful drone. Our current drone is old and outdated, and it's currently broken. It was attacked by a squadron of pigeons a few days ago. We were looking at a building, and a squadron of pigeons came at it, and down it went. And so this is good that we're budgeting for one anyways. And so to replace that drone there. Drones are very important. We use those things for search and rescue. That has infrared, I believe. And so infrared capability there, that's very important. We have had individuals with mental and physical disabilities who do get away at night sometimes. It's good to try to track them down and help them get back to safety. Yep.
What's the price tag on approximately? On
that was... it's a lot. Let me find that for you real quick. Because this is not your standard Radio Shack drone. This
Yeah,
is
well,
a bigger
I
one.
guess my question is, do we insure them?
Let's see here. Fire department, $32,000. My truck costs less than
Are they
that.
insured?
So-
And that's why I'm asking, are they insured?
Yep.
Chief?
I'm sorry, the previous one wasn't. We received that through a grant somewhere around 2016, 2017, and it was not insured. Of course, like I said, it was at the end of life anyway. The new one will be, rest assured. Yes, sir. It'll be on the TML insurance rating. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Thompson.
It's a lot.
It is a lot, yes. Yep. Community development, increase of $104,000. This is primarily capital request. We have a grant match increase for CDBG as I discussed on Monday night. We have put a match in the budget for First Street Southeast between Lamar Avenue and Clarksville. You can currently drive through that road. There's a proposal to convert that into a walking area. But bollards put up, more of a relaxed sit down type of area. So we propose that through CDBG. If we get the funding, we have to match the funding. So that's in that budget there. And then we also have the capital request, a farmer's market restroom. We currently have a porta potty type setup over there. Given how active and successful the farmers market is, and not just farmers market, but other activities over there, even downtown activities, we believe it'd be good to invest in a brick and mortar restroom facility there. So we budgeted this year to do something, but then we decided if we're going to do it right. And so we've upped that into a more permanent structure and for this upcoming fiscal year. And we have the MIGA 4 upgrade to MIGA 5 for support of that. I noticed some other increases there and a couple lines down. We were awarded the next round of home program funding, very successful program, so we budget $80,000 again for that next year. We hope to spend all of that because the more we spend, the more houses are redone in our community, which is great. And we have also increased the HPC facade grants. We went, I think, from $22,000 to $30,000 there in order to try to, again, we have a lot of outstanding development downtown, and so we want to keep that in motion. And so one of the requests we had was to increase the funding for facade grants. And some other capital requests, some large building demolition items, the Belford building being one item. Then the Grand Theater, not a demolition, but a phase 1 architectural analysis. What I proposed through this is one of the council priority items, but also so I proposed with this was the city fund an architectural analysis, which is about $15,000, I believe. They will come in, they will determine for the remaining 2/3 of the building that's not been abated yet. The place in the back is in pretty rough shape if you've ever been in there, and so it needs to be abated, cleaned up, and redone. So we're going to bring an architect in to design a scope of service to have a contract to do that. With that scope of service comes a cost estimate. That then provides the nonprofit tied with this a goal point. Whenever you're approaching donors, it's good to have a game plan when you're asking for their money. And so we believe that this scope of service will be that game plan that they can take and say, hey, this is what you'll get with your money here. We need $150,000, we need $200,000. What can I put you down for? So I want to help. I want to help stir that along and get that process moving there for the Grand Theater. Main Street, an increase of $10,000, 8.3%, typical adjustments in the payroll and operational expenses, but also we budgeted about $10,000 for a downtown plaza lighting maintenance agreement. We know there's been some great work by some volunteers in the community who have provided funding to put up lights that look beautiful in the downtown square. They've wrapped around the trees and everything. It looks outstanding. Part of the discussion so far, the understanding, assuming this gets approved by the council, is we will pay to maintain the plaza square itself. That's our property, it's our trees, and so it makes sense that we can provide some expense for that. This is not budgeted money for the private buildings themselves, just the plaza itself. Code enforcement, increase of $60,000. This is geared on by some council priorities, 8.4% increase. We've increased the funding for house demolition as well as lot mowing. We have a lengthy list of houses that need to be demolished, and our budget each year is just not enough to eat that up. And so we're trying to add some more money to that to help eat more into that lengthy list every single year. Engineering, a decrease of $11,000 or down 4%. This is primarily down because in order for me to balance the budget, in order for me to try to keep the property tax levy the same, I had to make some cuts in places here. So I have cut the city engineer's salary down quite a bit. We still do not have one. And so I had to take the room out. I had to take some room out of the engineering department for that. But otherwise, working outstanding with Hayter Engineering, Chris Don and their crew are doing outstanding work for us. Our staff are very pleased with them. Always on the ball, always ready to go. Their knowledge that they bring to these pre-development meetings is just invaluable. And I will say, when it comes to pre-development meetings and just overall to city response, it helps having someone in there who's not a city employee. When talking to developers, when you get a room of just employees, there's sometimes a little bit of a stigma with that. But when you have an expert who's not on my payroll like this, it's a contracted person, but again, they're not my employee. That helps add some. It helps the conversation, and so.
You think that'll continue, or?
Well, I budgeted for it to continue for now. We're still advertising for an engineer. We're just not getting any good bites. We get some bites once in a while, but they're not ones we're going to pursue. And so we have not been looking at it hard the last few months. We've had our attention on some other things, and Rob and I are still kicking it around whether we're going to one day bring back a full-time position or just maintain an agreement there. This is working out so well, and given we've been making so many changes and codes and enforcement there, it's been nice having some consistency for a while, and that's what Hayter's provided for us. So. Public Works, increase of $12,000. This is primarily an office department. This is not all the Public Works. This is just the office part of the Public Works department. Again, typical increases for the COLA and adjustments that come from that. I did throw in here ARPA. This could have been under the CIP department as well. We are continuing our water line extension and redundancy project. This is for the Gene Stallings Industrial Park as well as the Northwest Industrial Park. We budgeted money there to continue those water lines being installed there. So great work going on with that to help incentivize development to come to our community. Parks, Recreation, Right-of-Way, and Pool, an increase of $70,000 across those four departments there, 5%. Again, your typical adjustments in payroll and operational expenses. We've increased the funding for ditch and right-of-way mowing. That's, again, one of the items in the council identified, so we've added some more money to that. That's the problem with that is we just need to try to find more staff, but this gives us the opportunity to maybe pay some contractors as well, try to help get ahead of some of those ditches next year. Capital requests in the general fund is a small and medium-sized tractors. We have a 1990 something, actually two 1990 tractors, I believe. 84s. 84 and 91 tractor there. So one's older than me, and one's about my age, and so it's time to replace those tractors. They're needed for our playgrounds and our fields and so forth. So it's good to get those things replaced. Then at the bottom there, you see our most significant request for this department here is in pool. We're using some ARPA funds to replaster the pool bowl and then replaster the deck itself of the pool. As I understand it, this should be done by every 10 to 15 years. It was last done, I think, 30-some years ago, so this has been 20 years overdue. So thankfully, it's lasted 30-some years now, but we're way overdue for the replastering, resealing of our municipal pool there. So this will get this done. This has been on the wish list for many, many years. If it had been done 20 years ago, well, I guess we'd be doing it again now, but otherwise, it would have cost a lot less back then. So very expensive repair, but it's also our only municipal pool. Streets and highways, increase of $86,000, 5.1%. A big reason for this is we had some decreases in some lines, but then we had an increase because of the capital request, $163,000 for the North Lamar ISD project there. So the increase there is primarily because of our share of the collector street for that project. But in this department, you see the fuel and vehicle expenses, our third-party contract services, and just your general street and alley repairs for the department there. Then the big capital request under ARPA is a street sweeper. We have a 1998, I believe, and a 2002 2010, I think, and so I don't remember, Mike, if you remember what that is, but
It's like, it's a 2010, I believe.
I think 2010 and then,
It was a, when we got it, it was a demo.
yeah.
So, I mean, it was, but it was in another department at that time, so.
Yeah, so we got a used one, 2010. We have a 98 or 99, so we need to replace those. Those things are out there almost every day, and keeping our streets clean. And so the nice thing is these things have 10 to 15 year lifespan. So again, when it came to ARPA funds, I was trying to avoid your pothole things, the things that you fix today, they're gone tomorrow. Trying to find things that you do today, and they'll be here for the next 10 to 15 years, and things that have impact on our community. So. That is about a $315,000 expense. They're very expensive.
So, on the streets, do we have any, other than the North Lamar Collector Street, do we have any more major projects planned for streets? Because one of the largest complaints I receive is about streets, from citizens. As a matter of fact, when I was on the phone here before we started, a citizen was complaining about streets. So do we have anything major?
The only way to do that is through bonding, unfortunately. In order to redo an entire street right, it is a significant amount of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so right now, our operating budget is primarily just trying to maintain and fix.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Any like we talked about 8th Street, for instance, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So do we have any projects to go on, one real bad street and like you say, patch it up basically, but make it drivable?
No, we don't have any.
Just day-to-day.
Ours is mainly complaint driven, and so we try to spread our money out across the entire community. I know this pothole is most important to that person. It's not important to that person over there, so we try to spread it out across the community as best we can. No, we don't have any significant plans for parts of town, at least not on this. $1.7 million will not cut that.
Yeah.
We would need a much bigger budget in order to do something significant of a lasting impact. That's when you start getting to bond type opportunities there. So we do need to at some point start looking at that. We've got a lot of bond debt right now through other things out there, but we do need to start looking at some significant capital projects like that. It would take many millions of dollars in order to do lots of the community there. But we do have some bonds that are coming up due here in the next few years, and so Mr. Anderson and I we try to forecast those, and whenever a bond goes off, we try to get another one in its place that can go back towards streets or something like that. So,
Michael or Gene, you probably remember we did a street assessment or ranking of which ones were highly traveled and in bad condition.
Yeah.
Was that 4 or 5 years ago?
yes, yeah, it was about 4 or 5 years ago, I believe. So,
And we had a bond, and correct? We paid.
we did a 2017 bond for
That's
that,
right.
and about I don't remember, Gene. It was before my time. It was 1 point something million went to streets. Another portion went to parks.
And we didn't have enough to nearly do all the streets that
Oh, no.
really, really needed it. We
No.
just took the very worst and the most highly trafficked.
Yeah, I don't think people realize how expensive
Yeah.
street work is.
It was the year Ms. Knox and I came on together.
Yep. There is still a little bit of funding left in that bond, a piece that's left, and so I plan to sit down with staff to look at what's left and start trying to prioritize what we can do with that. There's not a lot in there, so I don't think we can get a significant project out of it, but we might be able to get some small things here and there. But we'll be looking at that. Traffic and public lighting. This is down $10,000 or 2.2%. This is primarily because of electrical bills. This is the department that pays for all of our street lights throughout the community. Encore does all that. We pay the bill for that. My best guess is as a light goes out, I think they're replacing with more efficient bulbs. And so we've been seeing a trend line that's been going down each year in our electrical bills, because I know electric rates are not going down, and so I believe it's efficiency across the board there. So we've decreased that budget in order to help balance the whole budget. Garage down $6,000. That's primarily because we had a capital item last year that's no longer budgeted this year. EMS, now this one here, I have to explain a little bit. This is an increase of $700,000 or 17.8%. Now, there's a lot of things going into this deal here. First off, I have struggled the last couple of years to correctly budget for their salaries. EMS has the most complicated scheduling structure for any of the departments there. Last few years, we have gone over budgets in those salary lines, not because of changes we've made to the scheduling. It just our software and then my review was just not adequate enough in order to get ahead of that. So I've tried to do a better job as this upcoming fiscal year to get ahead of that budget so we don't go over budget again. That's about half of this. And of course, then you add the 2% COLA that mixes into that. We have Emergicon expenses of $200,000 through our third party, but that's counteracted by the revenue we're bringing in through Emergicon. And then you look at rising costs of medical supplies. I mean, it's very, COVID-19 has just shot things to the roof. There's 18, 19-month waiting lists for things. Bandages cost a lot more. Everything just costs a ton more in the medical world, and we're seeing that through the EMS department. Our annual ambulance rotation has increased about $50,000. We try to make an ambulance last 7 years. That's a long time for an ambulance, but we try to make one last 7 years. So that allows us a 1 a year rotation there. But prices on those, the demand on those have gone up, so those prices have gone up significantly. And we also have the rising cost of fuel for all ambulances there. But we have a revenue increase of $435,000, and again, I feel it's conservative, and so I think we'll have a better idea this time next year once we see more of Emergicon and our new rates kicking in. So again, it's a high increase there, but a lot of that was already in the budget. We just weren't budgeting for it correctly. I'm trying to do a better job on this department here to get that budgeted number where it's realistically going to be at for next year.
Well, revenue, what's our difference in our revenue and budget or expenditures? Where are we going to be at?
Let me do some math here real quick.
I know we went up on rates. We did that rate study and we were way behind.
Let me do this here. Give me a few minutes here. Okay, so 40676 minus it's about $615,000 difference between revenue and expense.
Deficit or we're ahead that much?
No, it's expense over revenue, so there's more expense than revenue.
Okay.
Yep. $615,000, yes. This is, of course, one of our few departments that actually produces its own money. Most departments don't produce its own money, so this one does that. But again, I do feel that this time next year we'll be looking at a more rosier picture once we see our rates and Emergicon fully kicking into gear. I think next year, we'll be more pleased next year. Capital requests to ARPA, we're looking to add 2 station generators. We have a couple of stations that do not have backup generators. Narcotic safe and some Kenwood UHF radios. This is their personal handheld radios. We have some old radios, and those things need to be replaced so they can more properly communicate. Paris Band, no change. This is a contracted service. Library, $33,000 increase, 4.3%. That's partly because there's some repairs needed in their foyer, some ceiling repairs. That's about $10,000 estimated cost for that. And the rest is just your payroll adjustments and operational expense adjustments there. General department, this is not one of the departments. This is more of the catch-all for a lot of things that don't fall under a department. About $163,000 increase in this one here. This is primarily because of the hot tax. We raise $150,000, we spend $150,000. So it's not something that we're adding, it's just money in, money out. But we also have the county appraisal district is increasing their prices. But again, they have payroll increases, they have insurance increases. They pass it on to us as their customer. So we have increases for there. But this is also the department you see the nonprofit budget. We budget $100,000 in this department for our nonprofits. We'll be discussing that in the next couple of weeks here for divvying that money out to nonprofits. Our IT department increased to $37,000, 7.9%. We added a new IT manager position this year. Paris is to the point in history that we need a more beefed up IT department. We need good direction. We need a manager. Celso is here tonight. If you haven't met him before, Celso there, he's doing an outstanding job. I've bragged on him to you in some of our weekly reports, and so he has a lot of great vision for what we're going to be doing in the department here. So I'm trying to give him some funding to do some of that cool stuff we need. IT is as we know, we had that IT attack last year. That helps kind of wake people up a little bit. That we need to get ahead of some of those expenses with that. So we have some increase on that. Some capital requests, a server power backups, a point-to-point radio replacements, and repair of the server room. They do have some other items planned, but I have a separate fund that I can attach those to. So, airport. This is now. So that was the general fund. That was the 01 fund in summation there. Now we're to Fund 3, Airport. This is the new fund of this current year. Again, a massive increase, $612,000, but that is a good chunk of that is the TxDOT match we have to provide. That's over $300,000 right there. And now that we have a full year under our belt, or just about so, we have a better idea of our fuel sales. Fuel sales we've blown our fuel sales budget, but the nice thing is for every gallon I sell, I make money on that. And so that's not money against us, that's money ahead for us. And so, in fact, I would love for that budget to be blown every single year, because that means more revenue coming in every single year. So we're trying to get ahead of that budget so the number looks right in the budget. So $612,000 increase there. I know Paul's doing a great job. I think he does have quite a year under his belt, but almost there. We've also added a second employee out there. There's a lot for one person to do. We discussed that when we made the transition. I went ahead and pulled that trigger. I saw that the revenues were coming in to support that, and so we've added a second position. We're currently in between people right now, but we'll be looking to hire that again. Otherwise, fuel, maintenance, repairs, capital project are all in this budget here. We have the TxDOT taxiway and runway project grants match for ARPA and CARES, as well as a new mower for them. They're using a hand-me-down mower right now. Now to the water and sewer fund. This is fund number 10. This is a revenue overall, increase of $1.6 million, 9.16%. This is because of our increased rate for the wastewater treatment plant. We show this through the department here for our bonded indebtedness increases for the wastewater treatment plant, as well as your typical increases we do in May for our rate increases for just rising costs. Warehouse is the first department on the list for water and sewer, a decrease of $8,000 or down 7%. Again, this is just the net of your typical adjustments for payroll and operational expenses. Water and sewer billing across the street, a $54,000 increase. Again, your typical adjustments, rising cost of fuel. This is where your meter readers and the guys who do meter jobs, they drive around town every day, so you have rising cost of fuel for that. And we're also trying to do a better job of adjusting. Our credit card fees have gone up, and so we've adjusted the budget for that. Water production. This is the water treatment facility. Increase of $252,000 or 7.6%. As you all know, a few weeks ago, we had our chemical bids, and those bids came back much higher than we expected them to be. In fact, whenever those bids came out, I had a tentative balanced budget at that point. I had to go back and I had to cut a lot of things just to get us back down to being balanced. When the prices came in, we're looking at adding $412,000 between treatment facility and wastewater treatment facility chemicals there, between those two. So I had put in about $200,000 more, thinking that may be enough. I need another $200,000 there. So I had to do some drastic surgery to the overall water and sewer fund to get us back down to revenue balance. But that is a significant factor in that increase there you see. And we're also doing a capital project, filtration plant repairs. You know, we have our filtration cells at the treatment facility. We are rehabbing one this year. We're going to rehab another one next year. And otherwise, capital requests, that's one of the other capital requests being a replacement of the recycle basin aerator. Water distribution, these are the lines under the ground in the city, $28,000 increase, 1.9% increase there. Again, your typical adjustments across the line items, rising cost of fuel, rising costs associated with we've had so much development, we've had a lot of buildings and houses going in that we've had a lot of meter requests, and so our guys are very busy this last year. We've blown our budgets for cost for meter and meter boxes, and so that's a good thing. And so I've added some more money there to account for the continued development that we're having. The CIP, the Capital Improvement Department, under the water, this is a decrease of $20,000 or 9.2%. This is primarily, I cut this budget a little bit because we have historically been budgeting some street and alley repair in this budget here. That's typically always tagged to the distribution department there, so there's no point in budgeting it twice. So I went ahead and budgeted that down. Again, it's one of those situations where we budget $20,000, we spend $4,000. There's no point in budgeting $20,000 again. So we hacked that down to put that money where it belongs. And again, we have our water line extension and redundancy project. These are the guys who are doing that work. Excellent and skilled crew. We do not contract that out. We do contract out the boring under the loop, but otherwise our guys are the ones out there with their equipment digging the trenches, laying the hydrants, setting the hydrants and the valves and so forth. So doing great work. I've updated the council a few times on those. If you ever get a chance to go watch them, it's pretty amazing that we can do that. Sewer maintenance, distribution, these are sewer lines in the ground, a decrease of $57,000, 8.8%. We've had some long-standing vacancies in this department here, so there's no point in budgeting for them. Again, I need to find some room to balance the water and sewer fund, so we are unlikely to fill those right now. We're down so many of them, so I did take some of those positions, unbudgeted them for this next year. We left some positions there so we can grow some, but there's no point in having 10 when you know you may only get 3. So, and also too, again, reduction in street and alley repair budget. Again, historically, we don't spend that money in that department there, so there's no point in budgeting it in that department. We're getting close to the end. CIP, this is a sewer side, a whopping $900 increase, 0.5%. Again, typical adjustments there. You're welcome, Paul. So, wastewater treatment facility, increase of $95,000 or 3.9%. Again, this is like you see your chemical bid impacted this. Prices went up. We have though seen a reduction in electrical expenses. I really can't explain that, but every year the electrical expenses have been a little less than we budgeted there. So I went ahead and made some room. I cut some room down in this department here again to help balance the budget. And of course, the big capital item here is, of course, the facility itself. Lift station, number 87, this is a decrease of $5,000. We had some capital items last year that cost more than this year. That's why you see a lot of that decrease in the total budget here. They do have a Woodard lift station roof replacement. This is the department that maintains this is the department that maintains our lift stations, and a lot of those have covered roofs, and so this is some. Lift stations, there's a lot of fumes. These things can corrode metal and wood, and so it's time to replace those once in a while. So we're replacing the Woodard lift station roof, as well as the Toco lift station pump replacement is our capital project for lift station. Our last fund is at 45, landfill, the revenue, increase of $173,000. Again, this is pulling from a lot of it's pulling from the general fund over to the landfill budget in order to avoid increasing the rates, but while still giving the employees the rate increases to be competitive with our local competition. And I would say the last 3 weeks has actually worked. We've got 9 positions. We've maintained I think all 9 positions for about 3 or 4 weeks now. The expense side, an increase of $173,000, again, because of the pay adjustments there. And we also see an increase in landfill fees. They did finally submit to us an agreement for us to review, so I'm reviewing that now. And then, of course, increase in fuel prices. And then the capital request is a skid steer for our the dump site, the tree debris site. That is all the departments. And so I'll open up for questions, thoughts, concerns, edits, those kind of things. And then when we're done with that, I'll bring Tim up here, and not Tim, but Gene to come here and talk about the timeline. So,
Hey, just on the employee, sanitation employee, you said you got 9 now. Is that from new employees or movement from department to department?
We've had a mixture of both. We had one employee that I know of move from street department over to there to become a permanent driver. We've we retained a few positions. We had 2 or 3 that were there when we started this, and then we've had some that have come on through RPM and they stuck around.
Good.
So now again, this is not a guarantee they're going to always stick around. It's a tough job, but it's nice having. We have 3 trucks for 2 routes a day, and 3 people per truck, and so it's nice having 3 employees on that. So.
Good deal.
I think it's a pretty lean budget, and I know all the employees had input and did a lot of work on it. Very few new employees. We're growing. We're offering top services to our residents. I'm particularly pleased with the community outreach officer and a new animal control officer. I think that will benefit PD.
Yep.
As far as that community outreach officer, when's the timeline on that hire, and what's the budget for that position?
I'll find the budget. I'll let Richard talk about the timeline. Come up, go ahead.
So,
I don't have the books.
Mayor Pro Tem Hughes, the timeline on that is as soon as we get the funding, then we will advertise for the vacancy. And we'll also look for good applicants. I'll put out the search criteria, look for good applicants, and start the interview process. I want them to get on board as soon as I can.
So, just briefly, what is the criteria? What are we looking for, or what would their job description be?
We haven't come up with the requirements for the position yet, but the job description is going to be. Right now, we are really hurting on uniformed officers. I want to make this a civilian position, someone that will interact very well with the public, set up community outreach events with the schools, similar to what we had at the end of the school year. I forget what we call it. You can help me.
Yeah, the
Mayor Pro
mentor
Tem.
program.
Yeah, the mentor program. Right now, when there's an event that happens in the city and we hear about it, we basically just have to put the word out for volunteers and try to get as many police officers out there as we can. This way, I'll have someone with this position. I'll have somebody that's their full-time job. Their full-time job is to interact with the citizens, with the schools, with the boys club, Boys and Girls Club, and then that person will manage and organize the events and can reach out and say, hey, now it's much more organized. We can get police officers if we need them. We'll get dispatchers if we need them. And it'll just, I think it'll really help us improve relationships with the city. With the community, we can get feedback from the community and find out what their concerns are and be able to address them in a much better organized fashion.
I think, just from being involved with some of these organizations, I think him or her serving on some of these boards or being liaisons to some of these boards like the Boys and Girls Club, City Square, and different ones, I think that would be beneficial as well because they would have a firsthand knowledge of what's going on in the community.
100%, I agree.
And not just the youth organizations, but I mean, it'd really be good to be involved in the youth.
I'll come out of retirement.
Come on.
Sounds like a job for me.
Okay. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Chief.
The budgeted amount between payroll and benefits is $64,073. So I don't have the breakdown with me between payroll and benefits there, but it would be about 2/3 pay, 1/3 benefits is what that would be.
So, Mr. Path, I want to say it's a very impressive and transparent budget as you did last year. So, and I know that it takes a team effort from department heads, staff, employees, to get all that information together and to present it the way that you do. As always, and I'll tell you guys 100 times over, I'm thoroughly impressed to be a part of this team. You guys work hard. You work well together. We work well together. And I'm just impressed by it all, and I continue to support you. So if you ever need anything from me, please don't hesitate to call and ask, and then we'll work together to continue to get done and keep making Paris a better place to live and work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate y'all.
I weigh the Mayor Pro Tem's opinion as well. I've been able to work with a lot of the different departments, and some I haven't, but a lot I have. And with constituents or with businesses coming into town or different issues, problems, plus or minuses. But every time I'm proud to live here. It's a good time to be in Paris, Texas, and I'm excited for stuff we've got coming and the things that we're making better. So I appreciate it, and appreciate everybody's work on getting the budget put together, and Grayson for leading the team. And like I said, everybody's got their sweat equity in this thing, and I really appreciate it. And we're getting better every year. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Just keep printing that money, Mr.
Yep.
Anderson.
Yep. I don't know if Councilmember Pankaj, are you still with us?
Yes.
Very good.
Not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, yes. Okay. With that, we'll.
Bear with me here. I apologize. I don't have any other comments. I just want to echo what my team players have said. I think we're in a good position right now, and I think we can continue to work hard. We just really got to keep going, and we're in a positive time right now. We just got to take advantage of it and keep going. So thank you to the team. Thank you to city staff, council members. Let's keep working hard. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, I will turn over to Gene and discuss the timeline and go from there. So, Gene.
I'll be very brief here. I handed you out kind of a timeline that's budget-related, things that the council will be doing or the staff will be doing to set the stage for the council to take action on the budget. Of course, the first two items that are on that on this timeline have already passed. You've already got the budget. The manager did his budget presentation at the last council meeting. Third item is what we're doing here tonight, the budget workshop. The next item on the 22nd agenda, there'll be an item where I will be presenting the no new revenue tax rate and the voter approval tax rate and all the calculations it takes to get that. That's 9 pages of calculations, so have fun reading through that. But Senate Bill 2 requires that we present that to you, not only for me to certify that the number is correct, but to be able for y'all to go through that, and we'll post that on the website so the public will also have access to that. And then on September the 1st, the staff will publish a proposed budget hearing notice and a proposed tax rate notice, and also publish that in the Paris News, and we'll be also adding that to the website to make people aware that we're fixing to have a public hearing on the budget and public hearing on the tax rate. And that will take place on September the 12th. The next item there, I'll have a public hearing on the budget and public hearing on the tax rate. If there are no increases proposed by the council on the 12th, the council will adopt the budget on the 12th. There has to be, by state law, 1 day between adoption of the budget and adoption of the tax rate. So if the council doesn't alter the budget, we'll come back the very next day, Tuesday the 13th, and have just a one-item agenda to adopt the tax rate. If the council makes some increases in the budget based on the public hearing, we'll publish a notice of those additions in the paper that we'll be having a hearing on those increases. And then on the 26th of September, we'll have that hearing on those increases, and after that hearing, the council will then vote to adopt the budget. And then we'll come back on the 27th and adopt the tax rate, if there are increases to the budget. Otherwise, we'll have already adopted the budget and set the tax rate, by mid-month. And I just kind of want to let you know this is what's coming up, and so if you have any questions about something coming up, be sure and let the manager and myself know, and we can answer any detailed questions.
Otherwise, there would be no other action that you need to do tonight unless you have any more direction to provide us. And, but unless there is other direction, we will proceed under the timeline that Gene's provided, and we will have another item at the August 22nd meeting.
All right. Any other questions or direction to staff? All right, seeing none, I'll hear a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.